The loony left is using LGBTQ+, basically the alphabet, to groom and indoctrinate kids into victim groups, so they can tell them that everyone who is not in that group is oppressing that particular group, and CRT to indoctrinate them to be good little communists. If you don't believe me, they're already talking about arresting people for using speech they don't like.
I am a retired teacher from Wake County. I started teaching in the 70s. I've taught in Connecticut, Puerto Rico, Fairfax County, Virginia, and I retired from Wake County after 30 years of teaching, so I've been around the block. Teaching has changed over the years, starting in the mid-70s. Teachers now, I don't see teachers now as being creative. They're not allowed to be creative. Back in the day, the curriculum was handed to us, and we were responsible for instilling that curriculum in the students by the end of the school year, and that's what we did. Now I feel teachers' hands are a little bit tied. I don't think the term equity jives with the term creative teaching. I don't think the two can go together. The achievement today is down. The test scores are down. And I can't hear that it's being blamed on COVID. That should be done with now. Students are graduating, not being proficient in reading and math. They're graduating. Where are they going? I think taxpayers should be up in arms about that. What are they paying for? They're paying for a generation of children who cannot go out and they'll be out here looking for minimum wage, and that is not fair. And what is up is depression, thoughts of suicide, sad kids. Where's that coming from all of a sudden? There are children around the world who are in war-torn countries, and they're happier than some of the kids in this country. Where is that coming from? It is mind-blowing to me. It seems, and I'm not just talking about Wake County, I'm talking about our country, it seems that school boards have become the parents of children. Parents have relinquished their children. Schools, you take care of them. And I think school boards are doing a lousy job. The kids are not learning, and the depression is growing. I don't know where that's going. And another thing that blows my mind is there is no discipline. Children cannot learn if they're just allowed to go, oh boy, we need discipline. If children are not listening, they're not being instructed. We're creating a two-tier society. Kids who go to private school and kids who go to public school. Do the math on that. Two-tier system. My two grandsons were in Wake County Public Schools a year and a half ago, both identified AG in advanced classes. They have since come out and are in private school. Thank you. And they had to do boatloads of work to catch up to the kids in the private school. That's sad.
Our next speaker is Janet Peters.
You know you're in a cult if 1. You believe you are what your imagination says you are. Delusional, characterized by or holding false beliefs or judgments about external reality that are held despite incontrovertible evidence to the contrary, typically as a symptom of a mental condition. You know you're in a cult if 6. You believe reality isn't real. Delusional, characterized by or holding false beliefs or judgments about external reality that are held despite incontrovertible evidence to the contrary, typically as a symptom of a mental condition. You know you're in a cult if 10. Thanks to Jamie Lee Curtis, who didn't know how many Oscars she'd won, them can't count. You know you're in a cult if 11. You will cry in protest to take a real black woman off a syrup bottle and a Quaker off a box of oats named Quaker Oats, only to put a fake white woman on a beer can. All while saying, I can't believe they're so upset over a beer can. Bud Light parent Anheuser-Busch's stock has lost $27 billion over Dylan Mulvaney. You know you're in a cult if. 13. If you get triggered because someone doesn't think you're special because you were born into one of the CRT-approved victim groups, they believe deeds and personal responsibility warrant pride. You know you're in a cult if. 18. Lost your shit over To Kill a Mockingbird and Huckleberry Finn but are screaming about banning books with gay sex and masturbation in school libraries. You know you're in a cult if. 20. Will lie even with irrefutable evidence. You know you're in a cult if. 21. Being so filled with hate, you will groom, mutilate, and murder your own children, all while calling your opposition fascists. You know you're in a cult if. 22. Believes that out of 7 billion people on the planet, white, straight, males are somehow oppressing everyone else. You know you're in a cult if. 23. Will lose your shit when someone points out that you're not oppressed, you're just stupid. You know you're in a cult if. 25. Will refer to a biology book as right-wing propaganda. You know you're in a cult if. 26. Will lose your shit if someone actually uses proper English, instead of your made-up pronouns. You know you're in a cult if. 32. Are the same people who say you can't indoctrinate kids to be gay with a book or a drag show, but continually accuse the church of doing that very thing. Although religion isn't taught in schools, and you're not forced to go to church. You know you're in a cult if. 33. When someone is simply talking science and common sense, you will try to bring religion into it. Well, you know the church. Well then, don't go to church. It's not against the law. Not going to school is. You know you're in a cult if. 34. Will use unrelated behavior to justify their sick, grooming behavior. You know you're in a cult if. 38. You resort to insults as you can't handle the truth. Delusional, characterized by or holding false beliefs or judgments about external reality that are held despite incontrovertible evidence to the contrary, typically as a symptom of a mental condition. Patients with schizophrenia may show dysfunctional impulsivity and impulsive aggression. You know you're in a cult if. 39. Will lose your shit when someone says you're in a woke cult, and to prove you're not, you do the things on this list over and over and over. You know you're in a cult if. 40. Will accuse your opposition of that which you are guilty. You know you're in a cult if. 46. Consider chemically castrating a pedophile horrible and inhumane, but chemically castrating a child just dandy.